My role really this afternoon is talking to us about upgrading our software. More about the software that's wrapped up that we brought with us inside the human brain, which is an organ that doesn't particularly like change very much. We're living in a massively changing environment, and therefore we've got to find new ways to do stuff. Our brain doesn't adapt to new stuff very well. We tend to look backwards instead of looking forwards. We look in the wrong places for a sense of guidance. Your brain does not want you to put yourself in harm's way, which is why words like tried, tested, reliable sound like pornography to your brain. It loves those words. Whereas the thought of doing something different puts your brain, through the rest of your actions, completely and utterly at risk. We're all creatures of habit, repeating the same old, and what we need to do is find literally, as well as figuratively, new ways to work, to reprogram our brains instead of doing more of the same, because business is evolving faster than we are. Over 150 million registered businesses. That's how much real competition there is out there in the marketplace. Birth rates, less death rates, is giving us around a net population growth every 24 hours of around 200,000 humans. So do the maths. Monday to Friday, that's 1 million more people being added to the surface of the planet this week. We are never going to run out of customers. There's going to be a lot more competition. The nature of those humans is changing and unfolding. And we find ourselves doing the same old stuff that we've always done. Our generation is dealing with more change than any other previous generation who's ever lived. And in fact, it was only our grandparents, who were the first human beings who ever lived on planet Earth, that saw change happening around them in their lifetimes. We in business continue running our business on militaristic principles that were devised around 1760. The more things change, the faster things change, because that's the rule of the pace of life today. The era of personal computing kick-started the technological revolution into the 70s. We got mobile phones, mass communication into the 1980s, and by God, then we wanted to become more connected. And think about what our theme is of this conference overall today: connectivity, collaboration, creativity. So from mobile phones in the 80s, we got connected to the World Wide Web in the 90s. As the new century rolled around, everybody was doing everything, one-click discovery. We were all there and collaborating. And even that was massive change in its own regard. But where we find ourselves now, fast approaching the end of 2017, is that's not enough. We've got to go beyond communication, connectivity, and collaboration. We've got to rediscover our creativity. And that means upgrading our own software. Learn how to work inside the current arena of business. That it doesn't matter about your past. It doesn't really matter about your present, because the past has gone forever. The present doesn't last as long as you'd like it to. The future just arrived. A future of 150 million businesses that are out there looking for 7.3 billion people's business. Where's your unique, is what they ask you to find. What we need to do is rediscover our own sense of what makes us individually and as a body and as an alliance more unique than anybody else on that very competitive playing field. It used to be a mechanical world, and as a result now, you've got to be unique, you've got to be customized. Not what you were in the past, standardized. You see, the world has changed fundamentally in living memory. And what we need to realize in our own perspective is that we've got to start doing some very different stuff if we're going to play on the proper end of the scale and not wallow around in a world of nostalgia and outdated business information, ethics, policies, and procedures. Innovation that used to take a generation now happens in weeks or months. And a week later, this work was out of there. And what we've got to realize is we need to execute our own businesses to operate, to build and work and sustain in a totally different environment. So we're not worried about the old-fashioned vision statement, but rather managing our work with vision today, thinking about the future in bite-sized chunks. People are engaged more inside the winning organizations of today when they can see there's a purpose to it, when they can understand the vision, where they can see the future, target them and align themselves towards it in bite-sized chunks. Projects with clearly defined objectives where everybody understands, can focus on, and respond to the objectives because they're a clear, true set purpose. We understand the vision of where the organization is going. We live in a world of one-click discovery. One-click discovery must apply to you and your business, because in a shortened attention span zone, what do your customers discover with one click about your own organization? The world today is always on, it's always available, it's always changing, and it's always different. Are you always on? Are you always available? Are you always different, and are you always changing? Because if you're not, you're stagnant. Unity is strength. Why is that our theme? Because effective togetherness, ladies and gentlemen, makes most sense in this day and age, when people are united by a common vision, by common deliverable, manageable goals and purpose. But our brain is the biggest resistor to change that you've ever encountered in your life. Your brain is your biggest competitor. Is that your brain works on 4 fundamental principles. The first one is the world is orderly and reliable. The second of your brain's operating system says people are inherently good. Third assumption, I'm worthwhile. See, it all starts to flow into the sequence now of your brain's operating code. And the fourth assumption, what closes off your brain's iOS, is so it will never happen to me. If something, God forbid, were to happen to you, a burglary, all 4 of the assumptions are shattered. If you ever go through trauma, all trauma counselors do is rebuild the 4 iOS principles of your brain. The world's predictable, people are okay, you're okay, probably won't happen again. If you take nothing else away from this conference, I want you to take away this one thing. Write this down. Brush your teeth with your other hand. They proved that it opened up new neural pathways to learning inside the brain. You can rewire your brain, it's going to feel awkward. We believe information that matches our own beliefs because your brain doesn't want to take the strain of onboarding or learning or new diversity or new change. If you stand still, ladies and gentlemen, in your business today, if you pause even to draw some breath, your competitors are going to run right by you and steal markets in this instantaneous 24/7, 365 world in which we live right now. We need to worry about what the change is, not what might happen if we changed. To win in difficult times requires new thought, new idea, new concept, new stuff. And we must collaborate, communicate, be more creative, and learn to trust each other. Changing what we take for granted is going to be happening all across the world into the new economic horizon that lies ahead of us. All of these things are crucial to developing your new business because the customers you'll be dealing with next year are more empowered, they're more empathetic, and they're more engaged than ever before. And they have a great deal more choice because of connected things. I'll go back with new ideas because more of the same. Don't think I'll see you at next year's conference. The world's changing far too quickly and far too radically for that.